Tammy Carter. She is a 42-year-old disabled woman. She lives in Cincinnati with her 7-year-old daughter and her 18-year-old son. Because of her disability, her only source of income is SSI benefits. She also gets child support for her daughter. As Tom said, she really wanted to be here today, and the reason why she is not is because even though she's disabled, she recently took a part-time job. And the reason why she took this job was because she has 4 outstanding payday loans right now and can't pay them back on her extremely limited income. Couldn't get the day off of work, but she didn't want to be here. Her payday loan experience started 2 years ago, so it started before payday reform had gone on. She had a very high electric and gas bill because of a problem with her furnace, was unable to pay the bill, and her utilities were set to be disconnected. She went to 2 different payday lenders to get the amount of money she needed to pay off that utility bill, and she was able to avoid disconnection. However, when those 2 loans came due, they were more than the total of her SSI benefits. So she had to take out 2 more loans the following month. It got to the point where she got behind on her other bills. And so she was using her limited resources to pay those bills, and she couldn't pay off the 2 payday loans she had outstanding. So she took out 2 more payday loans. So basically she was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and had 4 loans outstanding at any one time, and at the beginning of the month would have to go from store to store, paying off one loan with the proceeds from the next. The 4 loans from those 4 stores continued even after the passage of the payday lending reform law, because these 4 payday lenders started making new loans under either the Mortgage Loan Act or the Small Loan Act, as has been previously described. So there was no stop here. The spiral of debt continued. So because of one utility bill that she couldn't pay 2 winters ago, she's been having 4 revolving payday loans since that time. The amount of the fees she's paid far exceed the principal amounts of the original the loan she needed to get the utilities caught up. She recently came to legal aid, and my advice to her was to stop paying on these loans and ask to make partial payments. To send the lenders notice that she was stopping payment on the checks, but that she would pay them back and she needed a repayment plan. 2 of those lenders have refused to take cash payments. She would walk into their office with $25 or $50, and they refused to take the payment. They said, "We want all or nothing," and they continue the harassment. They've called her at home. They've called her family members. They've called her landlord. Her landlord was considering evicting her because of the calls the landlord was getting from the payday lenders. She's been threatened with criminal prosecution. She's making a good faith effort to pay them back, and instead of taking a partial payment, they're refusing partial payments and ramping up the harassment of her. Because of this, she had to shut down her bank account. So we've taken someone who was banked, and now they're unbanked because of the harassment of these 4 payday lenders. She suffered over $150 in bounced check charges from other checks because the payday lenders continued to submit these checks even after she'd stopped payment on them, even after she told them she wanted a repayment plan. So I think Tammy Carter's story is just one of hundreds that we see in Cincinnati every year, and I'm sure thousands across the state, who get trapped in this debt spiral that you simply cannot get out of. And this is why filling in the loopholes in these 2 other statutes is so important to protect consumers in Ohio, particularly those like Tammy Carter.
Well, as I said, we're here today because the payday lenders are exercising loopholes in Ohio. And quite candidly, they're thumbing their nose at Ohio consumers. They've displayed arrogance by thinking that they're above the law. They are not. Voters overwhelmingly voted yes on issue 5 to set an interest rate cap for payday lenders. Voters issued a mandate to protect consumers from payday lenders, and we are here to enforce that mandate. Some of the details have been discussed, but I'll walk you through them again. The Issue 5 Enforcement Act will do the following: close the loopholes in the Small Loan Act and Ohio Mortgage Loan Act. Loans of $1,000 or less can be interest-only loans of 28%. This applies to loans of 90 days or less. This means no origination fee is permitted or any other fees. It's interest only. This also puts a stop to the payday industry's practice of charging a check cashing fee. No check cashing fee is permitted, and there cannot be any requirements on cashing checks issued by payday lenders, such as directing or requiring the borrower to cash a check at a designated location. This bill is also designed to address ways in which the payday industry has attempted to get around the law in other states, as Bill has alluded to, by doing such things as brokering loans, charging credit counseling fees, and pushing loans through credit service organizations. And finally, to provide better enforcement, the Attorney General will now have the enforcement power through this bill because we are extending the Consumer Sales Practices Act to loans of $1,000 or less for a term of 90 days or less. We've also increased the fines for violations from not less than $100 to not less than $500, and we also increased the maximum fines from $500 to $1,000. And with that,